Good afternoon, Hattiesburg. Thanks for joining us for this Friday afternoon briefing for COVID-19 and other city news. Today's numbers, these are total testing numbers from all of our healthcare organizations: Forest General, Merit Health Wesley, Samurai, Hattiesburg Clinic, and the Moffitt Health Center at Southern Miss. As of this morning, 38,728 tests had been conducted since the beginning of March. 4,371 of those have come back positive. Again, those are not all current cases, and they're not all in Forest or Lamar counties. 33,114 have come back negative, and we have 1,245 tests which are currently pending. In the hospital as of today, we have 81 patients who are COVID positive between our two hospitals. That number is slightly below our average for the last 2 weeks. We did have several deaths in the last few days. We have 16 patients who are under investigation right now. In the ICU, we have 34 patients who are positive for COVID. That is also just slightly under what we've seen for the last 2 weeks. We have 3 patients also in the ICU who are under investigation currently. This is where hospitalizations have grown over the last few months. Of course, we hit a peak earlier this week, over 90, down to 80 now. ICU staying slightly under 40 right now. Deaths yesterday, we had 2 in Forest County, taking the total to 52. Lamar County had 1, taking that total to 12. In new positive cases, Forest County added 49 yesterday, 24 today. That's 73 new positive cases just in Forest County for the last 2 days. Lamar County had 51 new cases yesterday, 17 today, 68 in Lamar County for the last 2 days, which means since Wednesday, we've added 141 new COVID positive cases. Totals as of now: 1,564 in Forest County, 1,080 in Lamar County, bringing our metro area total to 2,644. Our 5-day average, this number, again, when we added about 100 cases combined yesterday, that really spiked up the average. Both Forest and Lamar counties are staying around the 30 mark. Metro area, though, back up close to 60. Our inside 14-day number, this is where we look at the number of people who have tested positive within each county in the last 14 days. Because this disease typically has a life cycle of 2 weeks or less, unless there's an adverse reaction. This is a basic indicator of how many active cases you may have in your community. So right now in Forest County, with the addition of the 2 days up until now, we've had 402 inside the past 14 days. In Lamar County, that number is at 377. And so close to 800 new positive cases in the last 2 weeks. These are folks who potentially, again, are active, who are hopefully quarantined at home, but a real spike in the numbers that we've seen. Statewide today, 1,168 new cases. We did have a new high in deaths reported today at 52. As we go forward, we're going to continue focusing on our 4 things: widespread availability of testing. Again, this weekend, if you need to be tested, I know the Cough and Fever Clinic is open. On Monday, of course, C.E. Roy Community Center will be back open 8 to 2. We continue to push the wearing of masks, which in Forest or Lamar counties now, if you go out in public, you're required to wear a mask. That's by not only municipal order, but also by Governor Reeves' executive order. Watching our own data, listening to all voices. Our 3 goals that we have pushed for the last several months that we'll continue to harp on is protecting those vulnerable populations. These are people over the age of 60. These are people with underlying or chronic health conditions, because these are ultimately the people who will have adverse reactions, who will end up in the hospital, who will end up in the ICU or worse, which goes into our second goal, is preventing the overrun of the healthcare system by slowing the spread. Both of our hospitals are past their initial ICU capacities now. They're now in their backups. And so as we kind of gave news earlier this week, acute beds are running low. So if you have a healthcare emergency, we hope there's care for you there, and there's space for you, and there's personnel to take care of you. But that all goes by preventing overrun of the healthcare system. And finally, if we do 1 and 2, we can continue prioritizing public health while keeping the private sector open to operate. And given our situation this week, given the almost 800 new cases that we've seen in the last 2 weeks, given the hospitalizations that reached 90, given the new deaths we saw this week, this was not a good week for Hattiesburg. The data says that we're not achieving those 3 goals. And We hope that this will turn around, and that's my challenge to us as a community is let's do better. And doing better starts this weekend with the decisions that we make in terms of where we go, in terms of if we wear a mask or not. Let's do better, because that starts right now, that starts this weekend and goes, because again, the decisions we make right now, we won't see the results of that potentially until another week or two from now. And so it's important that we make those decisions right now. And beginning tonight, toward that end, we are going to close in-house dining, indoor and outdoor, at 10 p.m. We are also, the drive-through carry-out options are still there, but there will be no in-house dining after 10 o'clock. Bars and nightclubs must close at 10 p.m., and dance hall permits are suspended. Of course, all of the mask requirements, the capacity requirements, all of those things will still be in play, will still be in effect. Now, we are under no preconceived notion that COVID is only transmitted after 10 p.m. However, what we are trying to do is cut down on the number of unnecessary gatherings. If you go out after 10 o'clock, you're not going out to eat for your own sustenance. I mean, you're going out to gather with your friends, to socialize, and to be entertained. And those are the types of gatherings right now. And we can see this with the risk assessment we showed a couple of days ago. A crowd of any size right now, there's likely one person in that crowd who is COVID positive, whether they're asymptomatic or symptomatic or whatever. And there's a very high likelihood they will transmit that to someone else. And so that's why we're shutting this down at 10 o'clock as a preliminary step, hopefully to prevent another total shutdown in our community. And so that's why it's important that we use this opportunity to start making good decisions. Some city news on a positive note. Yesterday, we joined with the City Council and our fire department leadership to announce that Hattiesburg is now a Class 3 fire rated community. The fire rating is so important because it dictates what property and casualty insurance rates that you pay, whether as a homeowner or whether a business or other property owner. And so for 22 years, the city of Hattiesburg was a Class 4 community. To move up to a Class 3, that puts us among 8 other communities in the state. A tremendous accomplishment for our fire department, our water department, and dispatch. So thanks to Fire Chief Shirako Stewart, Assistant Fire Chief Danny Wade, and everyone who made this rating possible. This is a great step forward for our community. The other piece of city news, today we finished paving Dogwood Drive. This is a street that has, we had a sewer project that had a washout. We had a flood in December of 2018 after we had paved this road. We had to go through the whole FEMA process. So today that road was finally paved once and for all, and we appreciate the patience of those residents. And finally, our act of courage. Early this morning, the city of Hattiesburg lost one of its most beloved former employees in Mr. Alvin Eaton. Alvin Eaton worked for the city of Hattiesburg from 1990 to 2009 in both mass transit and code enforcement, eventually becoming the manager of the code enforcement division. And that was his third career. Mr. Eaton was loved by his co-workers at both the city of Hattiesburg and at WDAM when he was there before. He was also an Air Force veteran who served in Vietnam. He was a trusted confidant of all of his fellow members of the Hub City Business and Professional Men's Club. He was a volunteer and leader at the African American Military History Museum at the East 6th Street USO building. And he was a loyal member of Mount Olive Baptist Church. I will remember him as a great storyteller who gave wise counsel on many occasions. And most importantly, I'll remember him as someone who just loved his family, especially his late wife, Elsie. To his family, his daughter, Delisa, his son, Kent, and most especially to his youngest son and our city clerk and friend, Kermis, we extend our heartfelt prayers and condolences. As we go into this weekend, remember that it's, again, important that we start making these really good decisions. Please wash your hands, take care of yourself, wear a mask if you go out in public, do only what is essential, and remember right now, you're much safer at home. Have a good weekend.